Hey guys, Austin here with another video. Today we're going to be doing a Q&A video. So earlier I asked you guys to post your questions and I went ahead and scrubbed through a bunch of them and picked some that I thought would be really helpful. Today we're going to cover basically hard drives, specifically HDDs. We're going to talk a little bit about bandwidth. We're going to also talk about SSDs, and then a few more like plotting questions, as well as like pools, and I think a little bit about my own computer. Before we begin though, if you haven't been here before, welcome. This is the Chia Collective, the channel for all things Chia. If you could do me a huge favor and click that subscribe button, that'd really help me out. I like making these videos about Chia. I'm super passionate about the project, and if you guys, clicking that subscribe button lets me know that you guys are enjoying the content I'm making, and it really inspires me to keep kind of producing videos and stuff like that. Another thing is, guys, keep those comments rolling. If you have any questions, feel free to, post them on the channel. I'm also setting up a Discord, which is in the description link. You guys can ask questions there, and whenever I get a chance, I'll try to chime in and help out when I can, all right? So let's jump into it. These I picked a few questions. These are all related to hard drives, all right? So first one, do we need to keep the HDD connected to the network or take it offline after it's full? Thanks. You're welcome. So first of all, yes, you do need to keep your hard drive connected. Once you have finished plotting or you have a hard drive with plots on them, it needs to be connected specifically to your farmer, okay? And if you're running the Chia GUI, that's just the normal window that you see. If you're running it from the command line, it's going to be the command line Chia start farmer, and you have to add those files, whichever folder is containing those plots, you have to add that to your GUI, and then yes, it needs to stay online. Your farmer needs to be synced, which is really important. It needs to stay synced to the blockchain so that when challenges come through, you can basically have your farmer look at your plots and see if you're eligible. It's basically checking your lottery tickets, all right? Question 2, anyone know if I can use a NAS HDD for Chia? So for any of you who aren't aware, a NAS HDD basically means a network attached storage drive. And so those, instead of having your hard drive inside your computer, it's on another computer or server somewhere else that's connected to your local area network, okay? And a lot of people set these up if you're like a video editor or if you want like a shared storage. People set these up so that other people can access that same pool of storage. So like if I had 16 terabytes sitting somewhere, I could have 5 different computers access it. It's basically creating like a Dropbox or a Google Drive in your home network so that you can access whatever you put on there. In terms of if you can use this for Chia, yes, you can. There are a few things that you need to be mindful of, okay? First thing, it's actually really only one thing. You have to just make sure that you have enough response time. Actually, 2. You have to have enough response time so that when it's searching through your plots, the response time is quick enough. So whenever you're issued a challenge, okay, and you're trying to find a proof on the Chia farmer in the GUI, you have 30 seconds to answer and respond back whether or not your plot is valid. And that's really important because if it's taking a long time for you to connect to your own network drive and it takes a long time to send it back, you're going to have issues with winning actual things. You might actually win and then you don't send your submission fast, your proof basically fast enough, and then you don't get your blocks of Chia. One thing that you will have to do is you should check your logs to make sure that there is not too much time between finding each proof. And you can do that by first enabling logs. And when you look in through your logs, you're basically looking for one thing, and it's you can do a control find, and it's basically look for the word found, and then you'll see a line that looks something like this: found X number of proofs, and then there's going to be a time, and it's going to describe that time. Okay, if that time is below 30 seconds, you're good. And in I think most cases, if you have a NAS, unless you have a really choked up network, it should return it pretty quickly. And 30 seconds is the max, but you ideally want to stay a little bit lower than that. If it's returning within 20, you're in pretty good shape, all right? So that's the one thing about using network attached storage. But otherwise, yeah, totally able to do it. So question 3, is it better using an external SSD? I mean, for adding more terabytes. I'm not 100% sure what this question is asking. Is it for plotting or for farming? And so I'll answer it both ways. So external SSD for adding space because it's for farming, yeah, works fine. Bandwidth is there. It really isn't too big of a deal. You can internal, external, whatever is easier for you. I tend to find that as soon as you start stacking a lot of external hard drives, it's just a little harder to manage. So many cables and like the power supply stuff. And also there's only so many, I think, USB devices that Windows will recognize. So be mindful of that. Now, if this is a question of like, is it better using an external SSD for plotting? So the answer is mostly no, okay? And that's a bandwidth thing. So if you have an SSD and you plug it through either, I think, NVMe through the PCI Express lanes, that's gonna be probably faster in most cases, unless you have specifically like USB 3.2, which is like the new generation of USB, and it has a lot of bandwidth. And then maybe it's okay to put it like use an external enclosure, but you're better off connecting it internally when possible. And that's another good question, and I think not a lot of people talk about this, is general bandwidth. You want to make sure that you have enough bandwidth when you are plotting. And what I mean by that is like the motherboard, you have like PCI Express lanes, and there's only so much that your computer can actually pass through, and there's caps to that data. I think unless you're a super serious plotter, you probably don't have to worry about it, but it is something to be mindful of. And also bandwidth is really important in terms of transferring stuff. So since we're on the topic of hard drives, right? So if you write to an NVMe, it's gonna write really, really fast, right? And then when it's finished plotting and doing that plot, it's gonna have to move it to another drive. And so that movement from your NVMe to another drive is gonna take a little bit because of the bandwidth and the hard drive space that you have, or hard drive speed that you have. So keep in mind when you're finished plotting on your NVMe and you're gonna transfer it over, there are some bottlenecks with that. And if you transfer, let's say you had a USB 2.0 enclosure of hard drive space, and that was what you were transferring all your plots on, keep in mind that that takes a really long time. It's gonna take a long time to transfer those 101 gig plots from your NVMe over. And so you wanna make sure that you're mindful of that, because if they're not fully transferred over, you're gonna bottleneck yourself, and then your NVMe is actually all that data is gonna be sitting there waiting to transfer off, and then you're gonna try to start another plot, and then as that plot fills, if it takes way too long to transfer that one out, then you're gonna run into some issues. So one thing to be mindful of is if you can have like a buffer drive that is really pretty fast. It doesn't have to be, the fastest thing, but if you had like a cheaper, 512 gigabyte or even 1 terabyte SSD that writes pretty quickly, what's a nice setup in the way that I do it with my rig is you have your NVMe, finishes writing, it transfers to my SSD, right, which holds some plots, and then from there I have a script that's looking at my SSD and it starts writing and transferring files to my slow HDD. And what happens is it prevents the NVMe from getting bottlenecked and the space filling up, and it moves things fast enough. So it's like fast speed moves to an okay speed, which transfers to a slower speed. And you create buffers there to help you out. All right, so next question. Are you thinking of doing a solo venture, setting up the pool, or are you looking for other people to join you in the project? Great question. I'm actually working with some other people that I know, and we're already we're starting to look at plotting references, or not plotting, pooling references. They just came out today, and we're kind of figuring out how to design our own pool. We're really excited. We're gonna do a lot, as much as we can right now. We're trying to get all the code and everything set up. If you guys are really interested in this, leave some comments, but also feel free to join the Discord in the link below. That's where I'm trying to basically aggregate anyone that's interested in joining our pool. And I'll have more details, but it's gonna be pretty exciting. I think a few things to note, we're gonna try, obviously, to make this really transparent, give you, all the up-to-date information. We're gonna try to build out some cool features within the pool, like leaderboards and potentially random rewards. just for being a part of it and contributing. And then, yeah, I plan on contributing all of my like plotting power into this. So, hopefully that'll help carry a little bit of weight and push a little bit of, give the pool a little bit of an oomph when we kickstart. But yeah, if you guys are really interested, once again, Discord's in the link. Okay, I think we're gonna call it the Chia pool, or Chia, like Chia, but CHYEAH. Yeah. Anyways, so that's it about pools. And then if I want to plot, if I want 6 plots on the i5 10400 612 with 32 gigs of RAM with just 1 terabyte of NVMe temporary, the NVMe will be the bottleneck because of the 1 terabyte of storage. Yes. So that's the thing. If you haven't seen my like plotting configuration ratio videos, I'll put a description in, I think it's up here. Put it up here and you go ahead and click it. But yes, you can only do so much. I mean, it's going to take about 250 gigs for each plot, so you'll probably be able to run 3. You might be able to eke out 4 if you configure really well, but to play on the safe side, yes, you'll only need to do 3. You'd have to add another 1 terabyte basically to safely plot all 6. All right, next question. Let's see. What I'm concerned about is how destructive plotting is on an SSD. Are you able to put together a video with your thoughts, please? I'm not gonna put together a video, but I will talk about this question. So it is a good question. Plotting is pretty intensive on your NVMe, okay? When you are doing one plot, to do one plot, you're doing about 1.5 terabytes of writing, okay? And so it's a lot, right? But at the same time, you have to kind of take everything into perspective, okay? So if you are doing this as like a hobby or something to kind of explore, and you don't have, let's just say, I don't know how much hard drive space you have, but let's just say it's not like a crazy amount, right? Because if you look at, let's say, the Samsung 980 Pro, which is one of the fastest plotting SSDs, I have a link to it in the description, but if you look at that, right, it does, I think it's rated, okay, for 1200 terabytes of writing, okay, and that's what like insurance would cover. It's expected to probably last longer than that, but that's 800 plots right there. That's 80 terabytes, okay. There are other ones. I have a link also to like the Gigabit Aorus 4, I think is what it's called, the 2 terabyte drive there. That's rated for 3600 terabytes written. Okay, so 3 times more than the Samsung. But yeah, if you were, let's just say it immediately died after the 3600 terabytes, right? That's 2,400 plots. That's 240 terabytes. Okay, so if you have more space than that and you're planning to plot like 500, then yeah, SSD longevity and its life is a little bit worrisome. But if you're kind of doing this as a hobby and you have maybe max like 100 plots or 100 terabytes of space, right? Most of the new NVMEs today will get you where you need to be, okay? It's just important though that the 2 things that you want to look at: sustained write speed, and you want to look at TBW, which is like how much it's rated to write for. If you can get a high number for both of them, that's really good, okay? All right, and then last question that I'm gonna answer for today, which is how many plots are you farming at this point, and how long did it take you to get there? So I am doing roughly about 75 plots a day, and I just actually added another system, which I'll do a video on all my systems actually. Just add another system that should be able to do another like 40 to 50 plots. So hopefully I'm doing about 110 a day. That's my goal. And yeah, it took me, I mean, if you want to know how many plots I have probably about 1,000-ish, a little over 1,000-ish right now. It took me about a week. I want to say about a week to get there. And so yeah, I definitely, this was definitely a passion project. I thought Chia was really interesting and, wanted to set all this configurations up, and like I love building PCs, so this was like a great way to do it. Obviously, would I recommend right now for people to jump in and do it? Probably not, because that net space is growing tremendously, and I don't think yeah, it's not gonna be something that's like, oh, you're gonna, you know, get rich quick. It's not one of those things, right? There's already a lot of whales in play. There's gonna be more people, you know, you're gonna start seeing data centers and like all these other people ramping up to try to plot this because it is really profitable right now. Yeah, so if you were thinking about like putting a lot of money into it right now, I'd hold off, maybe wait till pools come out. Unless you're, you know, if you do decide to do this, know it's a very risky investment, and in terms of the payout, you might not make that much back right now. Of course, it's fun to build a computer and do all that stuff and, you know, get it set up and start plotting, but like, just be aware that if you're gonna do this and you have the intention of like really trying to make money immediately, like, you know, be super profitable, that might not come, okay? So that's my advice to you. So that's it for the Q&A. Thanks for your questions. I thought those were all really good ones, and hopefully if you've had experienced any of these issues or you're learning about Chia, hopefully these were helpful. I plan to keeping on like doing these every once in a while, and so if you have more questions, just feel free to leave a comment or pop in the Discord, ask a question. I might start aggregating them because I feel like there's a lot of questions still circulating, and hopefully, yeah, I can pick some of the good ones that will help you guys out and understand Chia a little bit better. So with that, that's the end of this video. Once again, if you thought this stuff was really helpful, please do me a huge favor, just click that subscribe button. Really, really helps me out. And yeah, for now, enjoy the rest of your day. See you in the next video.